Hello, I'm going to speak about the recently published book, The Human Self and Allah. The book is available on Amazon and it is also available online if you visit the website islamicdawn.com. This book essentially deals with the concept of God as given in the Quran and also the human self and the need of the human self to follow Allah as a model as given in the Quran. This book has 26 chapters and it covers the detail of the background, like history of God, different religions and the concepts of God within those religions, and how these differ from the concept of Allah given in the Quran. It's a very comprehensive book, and in its own right, I will recommend to read it, even if one is not interested into Islam and the Quran. The Quran is a book which I have studied extensively, and it is a non-human intellect. Its content is non-human intellect. If we read it, it gives us values. It explains the law of requital, which is essentially that whatever path we follow in life, we live the consequences of following that path. It is our choice to select any path in life because we are defined by our choices. But we cannot avert the consequences of following any particular choice or path in life. Before I go into the details of the concept of Allah, I would like to briefly touch upon what is human self, the way I understand it. We all have a strong sense of identity, we call it I, and we know that we exist. The question of consciousness is very complex, and modern psychology is still struggling to find out what exactly is consciousness and how to deal with it in terms of defining it. What is the purpose of human creation? Now, the Quran states that the purpose of the human creation is that everyone is held accountable and nobody is dealt with unjustly. Going back to the concept of the self, we have a strong sense of identity, which is called I. We got emotions, we got intellect, and then we have senses, and also we have memory, and then we have body as well. Now, at a thinking level, we are the only species which has the ability of thinking about thinking, which is called metacognition. Now, we do not have any inner guidance. Unlike other animals, we make choices in life, and those choices affect us. In the physical world, it is very easy to find out when I put my finger into fire, it burns. So I know it is cause and effect. But at a thinking level, it is a bit more difficult where we make decisions and interact with each other. Normally, what happens is that our desires, our feelings, our emotions, through that we want to take a decision, and our intellect helps to attain that decision or achieve that decision or achieve those results. And as we live our life, we develop our own reality. We create our own reality from birth to our death. And this reality, we have to look at it that how much is created by us, how much by others. This reality at any point in time essentially is based on our education, our training, our families, our social interaction, our friends, and our job status, and all those things. That is what really defines us at any point in time. But if we look at these things, then all these things are all temporary. For example, our car doesn't have life, our house doesn't have life, our family, for example, children, mother, father, wife, husband, all of them are finite in terms of as far as this life is concerned. And the self which we develop, the concept or the personality which we have at any point in time is really sum total of our experiences, education, training, and interaction. And that is where we have to think that two questions really. One is that we need to have a higher self, a self which is fully developed, which has an infinite consciousness, and so that if we follow that self, then we can develop ourselves against a higher standard. Most of the human beings are affected by their environment. They either follow their families, they follow religion, they acquire certain kinds of beliefs, and we can look into it, at any point in time, and we can read about it. The book covers it in a reasonable detail. But the concept which is given in the Quran is essentially based on this, that since human beings have a purpose and human beings have a body and have thought process and a mind, and even if we die, as and when we die, death is inevitable, and when we die, our self, whatever we have created, and our strong sense of identity, both are going to go to the next life. Now, if these are going to go to the next life, then we also think about the next life, what exactly it means. Are there any clues in the Quran about that? And these are some of the questions which are answered in this book very adequately. And the concept which is given over here about Allah is based on attributes. For example, he is merciful, they say merciful, but merciful is really related to human sustenance and nourishment. That whatever Allah has created in this life, in this world, he has put adequate means of sustenance for everyone on this planet. Now, why do we need it? The need is that if we have a higher self and we follow it, then we are able to develop ourselves. If we follow a human model, then human model which is in itself not developed, we can't really get guidance from that. And this is the serious aspect which we have to look into it, because Quran continuously refers to the law of requital and says that whatever decisions we are making, we are responsible for those decisions. And if we look at the present world, we will find that all the problems are created by human beings. Wherever there is a problem, there is a human hand behind it. And wherever there is a solution, there is a human hand behind it. In terms of life, we have to look at the contents of our consciousness, that what do we have? If we ask someone at any point in time that what defines you, and you will see that the people will answer back through about their job, about their status, about their gender maybe, and what are their desires, what are their preferences, who is their wife or children, husband, parents, where they live, nationality, their friends, and these things. But are these really enough? If these are our contents of our life, then where is life? Because there is no life over there. All these things are finite. And this is where we have to sit down and think about it, that if Allah of the Quran, who is living, nobody gave him life, and he gives life, and he's got certain attributes. And those attributes which manifest, which are manifested throughout the universe, visible and invisible. Even in this world, we can see that the trouble is only, our conflicts are only within the human world. If we look at beyond human world, there is no conflict. Everything is in balance. The nature is absolutely in balance. All systems of hydrological cycle, or winds and others, and Earth revolving around the sun, all stellar bodies, all galaxies, everything is working according to laws. Even our body is working according to the physical laws. Whatever we eat, we are defined by whatever we eat. So only in human world we find the problems and conflicts. And the reason for that is that we do not have inner guidance. And since all of us want to have a happier life and minimize our pain, and we want to fulfill our desires, and those desires clash with each other, and as a result the conflicts are generated. And since most human beings assume or believe that life ends with death, so all the struggle in life takes a different priority. All this greed, dishonesty, pursuit of materialism, all these things are as a result because we do not have guidance within ourselves, and we do not follow the external values given in the Quran. The religions do have glimpses of these, but all other books have been tampered, and Quran is the only book which still is in its original form. And the proof of that lies within the Quran itself. If we read the values, we can find out that these values cannot be given by human beings. These cannot be the product of human intellect, because human intellect is very selfish and undeveloped. So what are the values and attributes given in the Quran are from a fully developed self. And as a consequence, if we have that concept of Allah, which is given and explained in these books, the human self and Allah, if we grasp that concept and then follow it, the change within our thinking, the change within our consciousness will be a proof that our reality has changed from the previous one, which we followed without the guidance. So proof is within us. And this is something which Quran emphasizes, that your hereafter doesn't start after death. The hereafter starts right here. The change which we experience within ourselves, the reality which changes within ourselves, is a proof in itself that we couldn't have acquired it without these values. And another thing, the last thing we should keep it in mind is that hereafter, according to the Quran, is a fact of life. The life at our thinking level does not cease, only body remains behind, our self moves forward. So the point, whatever we are at the time of death, the next life will start exactly from that point onwards. So if we haven't developed adequately, then obviously we will have a problem, because we will not be able to take on the further evolutionary stages. So I recommend that we should read this book, even from academic point of view, to get an alternative view on life, and it's an extremely well explained book. Thank you very much.